ask and receive. All right, you guys can stand up. I always feel weird when you guys are still sitting. I flew back home today and had just an amazing weekend away with the Lord and with some other ladies up in Wisconsin. And the Lord started speaking to me just on the way home and through it all that a lot of times, especially in our service here, and you can stay in your chairs and you can stay in your area of worship if you want. But I want to give you guys like permission to move about the cabin, okay? We're gonna go up in elevation tonight. So I want you to feel free. If you wanna lay on your face, lay on your face. If you wanna, Adam, if you wanna start running laps, run laps, you know? Carla, if you wanna start flagging, just use your coat, you know? I want you guys to feel free. Again, if you want to lay on your face, whatever you want to do, this is your time to worship with the Lord. Ignore everyone else in the room. Don't pay attention to anything else and just focus on Him. So, Lord, tonight we invite you into this house. God, we turn our eyes and we turn our focus and our hearts towards you. We aren't coming for any other reason but to pour our oil out on your feet, Jesus. So God, tonight, come and touch your children as we touch you, for a beautiful exchange of love, Jesus. God, we invite you in. And we worship you, Jesus.
the song of your lovers. This is the song of your bride. to the one we love. Oh, how we love you, Lord. We give ourselves to you again and again, for we are yours. We are yours. I wanna be the oil. I wanna be the sacrifice. I wanna be a laid down lover all my life. I wanna be the oil. I wanna be the sacrifice. I wanna be a laid down lover all my life. I wanna be laid down. I wanna be a laid down lover all my life. That's all I want. I wanna be a laid down lover all my life. This is who I'm called to be. A laid down lover all my life. This is my portion. I wanna be a laid down lover all my life. There's no greater purpose. I wanna be a laid down lover all my life. This is who I am. I wanna be a laid down lover all my life. You're worth it all. You're worth it all. I'll be a laid down lover all my life. I'll be a laid down lover all my life. I'll be a laid down lover all my life. Oh, I will live on the altar. Oh, you are worth what you ask for, and I will live on the altar. Oh, you are worth what you ask for. If you're searching for a heart, it's yours. I'm right here. I'm right here. If you're searching for a heart, it's your reward. I'm not going anywhere. If you're searching for a heart, it's your reward. If you're searching for a heart, it's your reward. Then I am I wanna be the oil. I wanna be the sacrifice. I wanna be a laid down lover all my life. I wanna be the oil. I wanna be the sacrifice. I wanna be a laid down lover all my life. let's stay here a little bit longer and just give your love song to the Lord from your heart with your voice. We're here to adore the one that we love. still you know me. Oh, 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 you know me. Oh, 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 you know me. I'm caught up in your presence. I just wanna sit here at your feet. I'm caught up in this holy moment. I never wanna leave. I'm not here for blessings. Jesus, you don't owe me anything. And more than anything that you can do, I just want you. And I'm sorry when I've just gone through the motions. I'm sorry when I just sang another song. Take me back to where we started. I open up my heart to you. And I'm sorry when I've come with my agenda. I'm sorry when I forgot that you're enough. Take me back to where we started. I open up my heart to you. I'm caught up in your presence, and I just wanna sit here at your feet. I'm caught up in this holy moment. I'm never gonna leave. Oh, I'm not here for blessings. Jesus, you don't owe me anything. More than anything that you can do, I just want you. I just want you. Nothing else. Nothing else. Nothing else will do. I just want you. Nothing else. Nothing else. Nothing else will do. I just want you, nothing else, nothing else, nothing else will do. I just want you, nothing else, oh, nothing else, nothing else will do. I just want you, oh, nothing else, oh, nothing else, nothing else will do. I just want you, oh, nothing else, nothing else will do. I'm caught up in your presence. I just wanna sit here at your feet. I'm caught up in this holy moment. I never wanna leave. Oh, I'm not here for blessings. Jesus, you don't owe me anything more than anything that you can do. I just want you. Oh, more than anything that you can do. I just want you. And I just want you and no one else. No one else. No one else will do. I just want you. No one else. No one else. No one else will do. I just want you and no one else. No one else. No one else will do. I just want you. No one else. No one else. No one else will do. 'Cause you're still my first love. You're still my only. No one else will do. You're still my first love. You're still my only one. Oh, you're still my first love. You're still my only one. You're still my first love. You're still my only one. And no one else will do. Nothing else will do but you. But you. You're worth it. You're worth it, Jesus. We say no to every other love but yours. We say no to every other idol, just you. Just you have our hearts. dethrone what doesn't belong, 'cause you alone have your place on our hearts. You alone, you alone, and nothing else will do. I just want you, nothing else, nothing else, nothing else will do. I just want you, nothing else, nothing else, nothing else will do. I just want you. There's no other I could love. You're the fairest of 10,000. There's no other I could love. 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 You're the fairest of 10,000. There's no other I could love. Beautiful. You're the fairest of 10,000. There's no other I could love. I wanna sit at your feet, drink from the cup in your hand, lay back against you and breathe, feel your heartbeat. This love is so deep, it's more than I can stand. I melt in your peace, it's overwhelming.
Lord, our prayer this evening is that you would be our single heart's desire. That if there's any part of our heart that you don't have, Lord, that you would expose yourself to that part of our heart, that you would bring it up, that you would reveal it to us, Lord. Father, that we might hand over that part of our heart to you, that we could live a life infatuated by the one who came as a ransom. Lord, may you be the only one lifted up in our heart. We love you, Lord. We've come to set our eyes on you and to allow you to reveal another side of yourself. We lift up your name in this house and we honor you. And everybody said, amen. How is everyone? Everyone doing great? All right. A lot of excitement in the room. Let's see if there's any announcements. The men's thing. Yeah, we're gonna have. If you don't know, we're gonna have what we called a men's forum. Some people didn't know what that was, so let me explain what it is. A men's forum is just an open conversation. So we're just going to gather at my house with no real agenda other than to sit around and answer each other's questions. And I don't know necessarily that we'll actually answer them all, but it'll be good food for thought. It'll be good conversation. It'll be a way to go deeper, right? See how other people think, see how... see what we know and don't know, you know? So we're not proclaiming to have every answer, but a lot of times when you start asking questions, that's how you get answers, right? That's how he speaks usually. So I'm excited for it. It's cool. I like the idea of not having a specific agenda and just, maybe actually letting the Lord lead and do what he wants to do. So I'm up for it. But that's going to be this Tuesday, 6 o'clock at my house. So if you don't know where I live, come get me and I'll tell you. It's on Church Center. So if you're not here and you're listening to this, you can find us that way. Other than that, just giving. When you guys give, with all the new announcement we made last week, obviously it's going to be switching over. It'll just be straight Abiding Life Collective. It's the same planning center. Nothing really changed on your guys' end. So you can give via Church Center, or you can give at abidingcollective.com or I'm sorry, Abiding Life. I don't even know my own website, abidinglifecollective.com. Wow, that sounds kind of weird, to be honest with you, to say that, but apparently it's real. So, yeah, send money. We need it. So, now we do want to thank you guys for your faithfulness, because, we had the luxury of being planted by Risen Nation Dallas. So the deficit that we had every month, they were able to subsidize, so to speak. They would make up that delta. And so as of January 1st, it's all on us, and that's okay, because he's going to provide. But he's going to provide through your faithfulness, just so you know. I don't know if you guys know that or not, but that's kind of how it works. So, but thank you, Aaron. Sorry, just realized you're sitting back there. With that announcement last week, we kind of plopped that on you guys at the end. I did, at least. I thought I would take some time this week and just kind of hit on that. So if you weren't here last week, we announced that we are transitioning the name from Risen Nation Nashville to Abiding Life Collective. And I know I'd explained kind of the thought process behind Abiding Life Collective. It was an entity that was going to house the DBA, Risen Nation Nashville, so that we could operate. And we thought that was all going to be kind of legal stuff behind the scenes, but it wasn't. So I thought we would just kind of talk through that, right? And, I want to take time and talk through not just the change and how it came about, but what I think it actually means, like who I think we actually are. And I really don't want to make this like a sermon where I kind of package it and tell you what I think you want to hear and make it all, I don't know if I even have the ability to do that, but that's what I would attempt to do. But I really just want to kind of talk about like what it means to me, what he's shown me, and then we'll just see if we can discover who we are. Is that cool? Very cool. That's even better. My hope is just to share what I feel like the Lord is doing. And I know a lot of times in church circles we can say, this is what the Lord is doing, and in the moment we really feel like it is, and you can sometimes you can take that with a grain of salt, and sometimes it's exactly what he's doing. So I'm going to preface it with we didn't know we would be in this spot. It just kind of all unfolded, in so many ways, for so many people in this room, to be honest with you. And I think that's kind of the joy of what we have here is not many people are here just like in a traditional way or sense. You know what I'm saying? Everybody kind of has a different path, and that makes me feel good because I definitely have a different path. So it's not as if you kind of got thrown a fastball. You know what I mean? But I think sometimes when you start to talk through new things and you start to talk through who you think you want to be or who you think the Lord's leading you to be, if you're not careful, as you describe those things, it can come off like there's something wrong with either what was or what somebody else does, right? And that's definitely not our intent. And I would say almost 99% of the time, that's not the intent of the person who's communicating, right? They can say, we're going to go after this. And if we're not careful, we'll assume that means they're opposed to that, right? when in reality, God's probably just like, I really want you to focus on this. You know what I'm saying? Like if he, any aspect of your life where he kind of wants you to focus for a little bit, it doesn't mean he wants you to be against all those old things, right? We live in a world where it's like everything's a zero-sum game, right? If you win, somebody loses, right? And that's not always the case. Not everything is a game and a sport where somebody loses, you know? And unfortunately, we fall into this trap where you have to know what you're for. And if you're for this, it means you're against that. And sometimes, obviously, that's true, but not in every case. And I only kind of say that because as I started really, when I realized like, oh, wow, we're actually changing the name of the church, it's kind of like something shifted inside me where it's like, okay, then if we're not Risen Nation Nashville, then like, who are we and what's that mean, right? Like, it's probably a good question to ask yourself if you're going to change the name of something or lead it, you know? And as I kind of went down this path of what I felt like he was really saying we are, or at least what I am anyways, there was almost like this friction inside of me. Like, well, does that mean I'm against this, or does that mean I'm not for that? You know, and I kind of had to reconcile it. And I actually had a discussion with Jen, and I'm like, I don't know how to explain this other than it keeps coming up inside of me. Like, as I discover what he's saying we are and who we are and how we should be, I can't help but have this, like, I don't know what the word is, kind of like this opposite feeling somehow. I don't know. I'm not making it clear. What? A wrestle? Yeah, kind of like a wrestle. But so if I say anything that sounds like I'm against something, I'm probably not. Okay? Unless I say I'm totally against that. You know. So, but I felt this thing kind of rising up as I wrote. So hopefully I can catch it as it comes up, or hopefully I can say, yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. You know, but I think part of it is we all want to see God's power, right? Everyone wants to see the power of God. Everyone wants to lay hands and do miracles. And for the most part, it's because it's the best witness, right? You can't deny his power. I mean, technically you can. I know people who have seen miracles and they just can explain it away inside their head, right? I mean, it happens. And that is biblical. I mean, Jesus healed 10 lepers, and 9 of them never came back. Only 1 comes back, and he's like, dude, where's the other 9? Like, do you realize what I did for you? You know, so it's not as if that's an unbiblical thing, but I think when I started to really think about abiding, I almost put abiding against like moves of the Spirit and operation and power and I don't know, the like dynamic side of who God is. Does that make sense? But that's not the case at all. I think the reality is I want to be able to actually steward power, right? I want to be able to, and when I say power, it doesn't necessarily just mean the power to heal. It doesn't necessarily mean whatever you're thinking, finances or whatever it is he wants to do. I want to actually steward it for the long haul, right? I want to be patient enough to let him prepare me for that. And then that way I can function in it without it ever having me, right? Does that make sense? And I want us to be a people that are patient enough for God to build us and to teach us what we need in order to handle what he has for us, right? I think one of the main things is, God is definitely willing to do mighty things in the earth, but he really values the hearts of his people. So he unfortunately can't do what he wants to do because they can't handle what he wants to do, right? He literally was like, I can't show you my face because you'll make it into an idol, and I'm not having that, right? That's what he told Israel. So I want to make sure that we have the patience enough to let him build a foundation that allows us to house whatever it is he wants to build, right? Like if you were to take your contractor and say, man, I'm sick of going so deep with this foundation, just start building. He's like, all right, we'll see what happens, and it'll be great for a while, right? Like if if you bring your car to me and we throw a turbo on that sucker, it's going to be fun for about 10 minutes. And then, boom. Why? Because we didn't prepare it for the pressure that it was going to have to handle, right? We didn't prepare it for the upgrade. And I just want to be able to take the time, and I hope that like something like that men's forum will be something where like every man can get the questions answered that he has that will prepare him for whatever the Lord has for his family. Does that make sense? There's a lot of people in the Bible that really saw God move in crazy ways and then didn't end well. Like you can just go through the Old Testament and read Asa, Jehoshaphat, Amaziah, Uzziah, Hezekiah, Josiah. All these guys saw crazy moves of God and still turned on him. You know, so we can't say, well, you know, if he would just do this, I would just do that. He knows you better than you know you, right? And we're going to kind of get into a little bit of that. But, you know, in today's day and age, everybody wants to be Bill Johnson, including me. But nobody wants to, like, go to Weaverville for 20 years with 100 people. That's what made Bill. Bethel didn't make Bill. Bill made Bethel because Bill was willing to just sit with 100 people in a place called Weaverville. I promise you it's not as cool as Nashville. You know what I mean? Like, everybody's like, I don't know why I'm here. You know, and you're like, well, you could be in Weaverville. You know what I'm saying? So I just want to make sure that we're willing to pay the price, because what if there is, and I'm not saying we want to be Bethel. I'm not saying that at all. But for you, what if there's a connection between you and God like Bill has? Will you pay a 20-year price to get it? Because his didn't come overnight. The more you listen to him, the more you realize, like, he paid a price. And matter of fact, is still paying a price today for who he is. Yeah. You know, it's not fair, but if you want to have everything he has for you, it's going to cost you. And if you try and convince yourself otherwise, you won't make it. So we can't have a deep foundation without an understanding of what abiding is. You know, the name that we're going with is Abiding Life Collective, and we're going to get into what that is. But I think that, you know, I want to settle in my own heart that I'm not abiding so that I can have whatever the thing is, the power, the money, the influence, whatever the thing is, so that, like the healing power, whatever, the dynamic, whatever the gift is or whatever the thing is, I'm not abiding so that I can get that, right? Remember we talked last week about single eye focus. Like you can't split the focus between the abiding and the destiny. It's just the abiding, right? So that's the goal. And for me, I hit on it a little bit last week, but this started in October of 2020. We were at, Pastor William was speaking at LCU one morning, and he asked me to come. And I got there earlier, and they were doing this, I don't know, they used to do this secret place thing that was super weird, but they were doing this during school, and he was actually the one doing it, and he had... It was weird. It was awkward. But they had a pad on. So I just came in the side, sat down, this pad's on, and it was one of the times that the Lord has really landed on me like unsolicited. I thought I was just coming to listen and hang out for a little bit, and yeah, he was definitely there. But in the midst of it, he spoke, and he said, abiding, this will be your life. And you know, it was obviously very impressionable. I wrote it down, you know, kind of just set my heart on it and would pray on it and stuff. But he also said, this will be the key that unlocks every door. Abiding is the key that unlocks every door. And, you know, so I knew when it came time to kind of, obviously 4 years later, you find yourself needing an entity to house a church name and all this stuff. I'm like, well, I want to do something with Abiding Life because he said that's my life. So, you know, and that's where it was kind of this personal thing behind the scenes that if it were up to me, no one would even know that name, right? Like I don't really do the whole like public thing very well. You can probably tell. But I wouldn't really want anybody to know that part, right? It would have been behind the scenes, and maybe you get a statement and it says it at the bottom, and I can explain it away. So I just thought, okay, abiding life, collective, because I wanted to do multiple things under that, right? I had a couple of other ideas that are, again, things that I don't really want anyone to know about, and I thought, well, at least I can house it in there and no one will know. It'd be kind of like a shelter, But that's literally what I was thinking. I always just assumed we would be Risen Nation Nashville. No need to change. It's our heritage. It's been everything for the last 5 years. But like I said last week, coming into the year, it was like, well, let me actually ask, like, Lord, is there anything that you want to say about this year? Is there anything that you want to do? Is there anything I need to know? And as I started asking this, I had multiple people around me kind of mention the idea of this name change, and I was kind of like, oh, I don't know. I mean, if he says so, maybe I will. And I never really intended to be thinking of a church name when I made up Abiding Life Collective, really, to be honest with you. And as I was praying through it, I was like, man, maybe I should really consider this. And we had a couple of people that essentially gave us words of like, hey, you should really consider this, changing the name of the church. I feel like the Lord is going to have you do that. And there was a sense of urgency around it. I usually don't fall for the like hurry up and urgent thing. I'm kind of like, well, we'll see what happens. And, I don't like to get ahead of my own self and then end up making a mistake. But there was this urgency thing. And as I was praying about this and considering this, I actually read this more like corporate word that this person gave. And I'll read it to you. It says, actually, let me drink. It says, you have now entered a moment in time when you will not see confusion in every direction. You will see confirmation in every direction. I say unto you that the vision is being made plainer than it ever has been. I'm solidifying and fortifying the vision that I have given to you so strongly that you will move forward in this hour certain of that which I am speaking. And as I read this, I actually felt the certainty. Like, I actually was like, oh yeah, I'm certain. Like, I'm supposed to change the name. And I normally don't just have like oh, this is definitely it. I'm usually like we'll see. I feel like this is what he's saying. And there's kind of the crossing your fingers behind your back, But in this moment, I could feel the certainty. It says, I say unto you that where the enemy has attempted to bring confusion to the vision and separation from the vision that I have been speaking and have spoken, I am now bringing forth collectives in the earth. So I'm not only praying like, okay, is this supposed to be the name of the church? But then I'm also like, collective's kind of a weird name for a church, Lord. Like, I didn't know I was going to be naming a church when I came up with this. So in the moment, I'm thinking, oh, you're bringing collectives, okay? That makes sense. And then it continues and says, there is and will be to continue a great increase, a gathering to the vision that I am releasing and restoring in your midst. Watch how I am drawing peoples in oneness around the visions that I am releasing to move together in one heart, one mind, and one accord in the visions that I am restoring. And it goes on to say a couple other things, but at the end it essentially says you need to act swiftly. And I really did feel the certainty, and I really did feel the swiftness of it. And, in that moment, I was like, well, all right, this is it. It confirmed that I'm changing it, and it confirmed that we're going with collective, right? As odd as that sounded to me, I've had to explain it to a few people, But if I had to define, if we are an abiding life collective, I would define a collective as a collective of people, a gathering of people who want to make disciples, walk as he walked by abiding in him, right? Like an abiding life collective is just that, a collective of people who want to make disciples, walk as he walked by abiding in him. So I don't really, love the idea of having a tagline, but essentially that will be just that, right? This will be what Abiding Life Collective is. It is a gathering of people. Our goal is to make disciples and walk as he walked. How are we going to do that? By abiding in him, right? Does that make sense? So I just thought we would kind of just go through this, walk through it, see what it means to me, and hopefully it means that to you and you actually believe in it. So a collective is a group of people with many members that are considered one. They're considered a whole, right? A collective can be a group of people that are working together that share a common interest or a common unity. Like, remember how we define community, a common unity, and that's exactly what a collective is. And to be honest, when I talked about common unity, I had no idea that we were going to be naming it collective. So to me, that is kind of reassuring. But we're definitely a gathering of people with a common unity. We're definitely a collective around him, right? And I don't think that this is a random collection. I think it's a hand-picked collection. I think it's him going, I'm going to put you here, and you there. And it doesn't mean that you'll necessarily have to be here for your entire life. And I'm not saying any of that stuff. I'm not saying you're called to me. I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying for this moment in time, he's like, no, you're right here. And he gets to change that whenever he wants, just so you know. But I think he's building a body, right? That's the biblical thing. 1 Corinthians 12, verse 12 through 14 says, for just as the body is one and has many members, and all are members of the body, though many are one body, so it is with Christ. For in one Spirit we are all baptized into one body. Jews or Greeks, slaves or free, we are all made to drink of one Spirit. For the body does not consist of one member, but many, right? So that's pretty easy to understand. We're a collective, one body. Obviously, if your back is itching, your brain tells the hand to scratch the back. The back doesn't scratch itself, right? And, we have testimony after testimony of the body being one and someone experiencing something and being able to have an effect or to minister to another person in that moment, right? We actually had a weird coincidence yesterday. I say coincidence, it's not a coincidence. As weird as it sounds, yesterday at like 3 o'clock, like something came on me and I was like, man, I feel like I'm going to throw up. I was like, what is the deal, And I'm just like, I just feel terrible. I'm trying to prepare. I can barely think. And I'm like, I don't know what the deal is. I'm just kind of fighting this thing. I'm taking like everything in the cabinet, trying to make it go away. And she was out of town. So I told the boys we would go eat, and I'm like, dang it, I got to go eat with them. I feel terrible, I was like, I'm going to take a shower, and hopefully I'll feel better. So I go, I'm getting in the shower, and I remember with William at this conference, and we had a wild experience there. But at this conference, in worship, every time these people would worship, I would feel like I was going to throw up. And I was like, and it was worthy of the throwing up too, just so you know. But yeah, it was just bad all the way. It was actually turned out to be an unbelievable weekend, and I literally watched him change the whole thing. It was unbelievable. But in the beginning, it was rough, and I recognized in the service that I was literally felt like I was going to throw up unless I prayed in the Spirit. And the second I prayed in the Spirit, it would go away. So I stood there and prayed in the Spirit the whole time. And I'm like, this is weird. So we end up leaving the service, and we got to talk through what was going on. And I was like, man, I felt like I don't know what's going on, right? Like, I'm new. This was like years ago. And it was like, yeah, that is literally the Spirit inside of you dealing with what's going on in the room. And you're interceding in that moment via the Spirit. Like, I have no grid for this. I'm like, so I have to feel like I'm going to throw up? Why don't he do it to them? What's this? Why? I don't understand. So I remember that getting in the shower, and I'm like, I don't want to pray in the Spirit. I start praying in the Spirit, it starts to go away. And I'm like, this is weird. And as I'm praying in the Spirit, I get the sense that I'm praying for Jenny. And I'm like, man, must be wild up there. I don't know what's going on up there, but it's like, all right. So in the shower, I could do that. Well, when we go out to eat, I can't sit there and I mean, that's going to be weird. So I stop, feel terrible, didn't even finish my steak. That's how bad I felt. That doesn't happen. So Peyton luckily finished it for me. And I'm just like, dude, what is the deal? So go home, sit on the couch, and I'm like, man, I feel terrible. Like, I'm just going to sit here and try and start praying in the Spirit again. Jenny texts and says, you guys will never guess what happened at the conference, and tells the whole story about some lady manifesting and all this stuff. And I'm like, dang it, it was you. And as soon as she texts me, gone. Never came back. And I was like, holy crap, you're never going to believe this. Like, that thing that happened in Jacksonville happened again. Like, I can't explain that to you. I can't show you that in the Bible. I wouldn't believe it if it didn't happen to me. But so I'm just telling you, it's real. Like, the body is real in more ways than one. Like, you can have an experience where you're like, I don't understand what's going on. For whatever reason this works, I'm going to do it. And then later you find out that you were having an effect via him. Obviously it wasn't me. But I don't know why he chooses to work like this. He just does. You can ask him about it. Might be a question on Tuesday. I'm going to say, I don't know. I got the same question. But this is how it works. This is how we are a body formed together, and he's the head, and we don't get a choice, right? When he says, hey, scratch the back, the hand's not like, yeah, I don't feel like it. It just does it, right? So Ephesians 3 says, members of the same body, partakers in the promise in Christ Jesus. Ephesians 4:15 says, rather than speaking the truth in love, we are to grow up in every way into him who is the head, into Christ, from whom the whole body joined together, held together by every joint with which it is equipped. When each part is working properly, makes the body grow so that it builds itself up in love. Ephesians 5:30 says, because we are many members of his body, therefore a man shall leave his father and mother, hold fast to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. Listen to this. This mystery is profound, and I am saying that it refers to Christ and the church. Like, a lot of people struggle with, like, I'm one with my spouse. But he's saying, like, that is essentially an allegory for who Christ is to the church. You are one with him. You cannot say, you can think you're separated from him, but you're not. You're connected, right? So we are a collective. We are one body. We are one church, and he's the head, right? We're a collective of people who have not just been called, we've been commanded to make disciples. So we said it was a collective of people who want to make disciples, right? We've been commanded to make disciples. Not, he didn't tell anyone to go build themselves a church. He didn't say, hey, go build yourself a ministry. He never said that. He said, go make disciples, right? And that doesn't mean I'm against, again, caught myself, not against any of those things. Not against somebody building a church, not against somebody building a ministry, not against any of that stuff. But in this moment, and so far to me and to us, he hasn't said build a church. He was like, just make disciples. Matter of fact, he said, I will build my church, right? Matthew 28:18, and Jesus came and said to them, all authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. Go therefore and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, teaching them to observe all that I've commanded you. And behold, I am with you until the end of the age. Literally the very last statement he makes in the book of Matthew. And, this is his final order, and, he's saying, hey, go make disciples and teach them everything that I've commanded you. And I've noticed that we're really good at being heralds, but we're not very good at being models. The same way people try to parent their kids, like listen to what I say and don't watch what I do, is the same thing that honestly most Christians do. I mean, if we're real, you know what I mean? The reason why some's influence isn't what it could be is because the people they work with aren't stupid. They're like, you say this, but I see that. I've heard that story so many times. Like, oh, this guy that I work with, yeah, he's a Christian too and all this stuff. And over the years, well, yeah, but he also does this, and he also did this, and he also got caught for that, and he also got, right? So he's going like, I'm not listening to what that guy says. I'm just watching what he does. And as a non-believer, people are like, yeah, I don't really believe that, right? Because you say one thing, but you do another, and unfortunately, that's the case. And I don't think we need more heralds. I don't think we necessarily need more preachers. I think we need more models. Like and I'm not talking about only from this way, I'm talking about this way, right? Because the cumulative effect of everyone in this room is going to be far greater than whatever I could affect, right? Even though I'm supposed to be the one with the mic, right? And that's another part of it. Jesus, when you really look at his life, he barely taught them anything. There's very little teaching, a whole lot of showing. They just walked with him for like 3.5 years, and then he was like, deuces, it's on you now. I'm sure had they have known that they had questions, and they asked very few questions, but I'm sure they would have been like, man, if we really would have known we only had that, I would have been like taking some serious notes here, and I would have had a lot of questions, right? But he walked around, and if they had a sacred cow, man, he'd crush that sucker and never really address it. Like a lot of times, you can feel the pressure from up here to neatly package a sermon and have everything connected, every dot. But he didn't do that. He'd say something crazy and just never address it. For him who had ears, let him hear. And then just say something that's way out there and like walk off. And everybody's like, what does that mean? And he's not worried about a thing. He didn't have a Jenny. He didn't have to go home and be like, you should have said it like this, because what if they think this? And you're like, I don't know. What if they think that, Actually, I need it. It's actually really, yeah, she thinks she's the Holy Spirit. Yeah. And so we want to focus on discipleship, but if I'm honest, I don't know exactly what that looks like. I know a lot of people seem to have like a really got it all laid out. I think the men's forum thing will be the beginning of it. We'll figure out how that works, how often we want to do that. Obviously, she has the women on lockdown already, but, our goal will be to have to develop discipleship, but I'm hoping I don't just develop it on my own. I'm hoping it's kind of like a directed thing of the Lord, right? So with that being said, we're a collection of people being assembled by him, making disciples, and then the next part is walking as he walked. Like this is that kind of what I just referenced, whereas I don't want to just teach people verbally. I would rather just walk, because more is caught than taught, right? Like, hopefully you can actually be someone who's like, don't listen to what I say, just watch what I do, right? Ephesians 2:10 says, we are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which God prepared beforehand that we should walk in them. So there's an order in which you should walk. We don't get to just walk any way we want to walk. 1 John 2:5-6, you will hear this a lot. Whoever keeps his word, in him truly the love of God is perfected. By this we may know we are in him. Whoever says he abides in him ought to walk in the same way he walked. Right? That's as clear as it gets. And the whole model versus herald thing is why it's important that you walk as he walked. And unfortunately, this doesn't go for every church, but there's a lot of people, if you actually believe that you're going to walk as he walked, they consider you heretical. They're like, no, you're not, I guarantee you. And you're like, well, with that attitude, you're definitely not going to. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying there's going to be a room full of perfect people, perfect by his blood, with the goal of abiding in him and then walking as he walked, and he'll clean up the mess. That sounds flippant, but that's exactly how it works, right? You know, in whatever way that is, whether that's purity or power, whatever that is, my goal would be, with my focus on him, abiding in him, and we're going to get to that part, but the goal is to walk exactly as he walked, whatever that looks like, right? Like, I'm just going to leave it there, yeah. I feel like I'm going to say something, and she's going to have one of those, that was too far. But our goal is to represent more than just with our words, but with our life, right? I expect to be a representation of him, right? I'm not taking his place. I just represent him, right? And that doesn't mean that I'm going to kill it every time. That doesn't mean I'm never going to get it wrong. That just means that's my goal. And I know that I can't do that on my own. That's why we're going to get to the abiding part, right? I'm not saying I'm going to go out and perform this. There is no such thing as performing it. I mean, it says, not by power, not by might, but by my spirit, right? Walking in his spirit is going to be the only way you can do this. And I'm depending on his strength and his spirit to walk as he walked, not my own. So a collective of people chosen by God. I know I'm repeating this, but hopefully you'll understand it. A collective of people chosen by God to make disciples, to walk as he walked. That'll be exactly who we are. And the next part would obviously be, how in the world are you going to do that? By abiding, right? Pretty simple. You know, the tagline ends with abiding, but it will all begin with abiding. If you don't get the abiding part right, you're making disciples of you and not him. Does that make sense? I think that we have two main focuses, and those two main focuses will be discipleship, obviously, because that's the command, and walking as he walked, but by abiding. You know, and like I said, you can make disciples, like Jesus, disciples aren't only for Jesus. John had disciples, Polycarp had disciples. Like, as you go down the list, it's disciple. They're just learners. They're students. They're ones being taught, right? That's what a disciple is. Jesus said in John 8:31, if you abide in my word, you are truly my disciples. So there's our word. If you abide in my word, you are truly my disciples, and you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. I mean, the Pharisees had disciples, but they weren't abiding in his word. So their disciples weren't exactly what he was looking for, right? So unless we abide, we are making disciples of ourselves and not him. And the goal would be, like, even if someone were here and they considered, like, it's weird to even say out loud, but let's just say someone considered themselves my disciple. The goal wouldn't be for them to look like me. The goal would be to make them look like him. Does that make sense? I mean, that's the entire thing. Like, if he's the pattern, you're not a pattern of a pattern, right? I don't know if I've ever talked about that here before, but it doesn't work. You can't be a pattern of a pattern, because it gets off every time you make it. So you always use the original pattern. And I think it's important to understand, as we look at how Jesus modeled this, he started out saying, follow me, right? Every person he would say, come and follow me. And you get to John 15, and he starts to change it up a bit. John 15:3, he says, already you are clean because of the word that I've spoken to you. Abide in me, and I in you. So he changes it up. He's like, you're following me, now it's time to abide. Okay, this is where this language gets introduced. As the branch cannot bear fruit by itself unless it abides in the vine, neither can you unless you abide in me. I am the vine, and you are the branches. Whoever abides in me, and I in him, he it is that bears much fruit. For apart from me, you can do nothing. Now, they didn't understand this, but the reason why he's changing it up, and the reason why he's not saying follow me, is because he's leaving. I'm out. So you are going to be forced to abide now because I'm not here to follow. Right? Does that make sense? This is why the language changed. So I think it's important that we understand exactly what abiding means. And if you look up the definition from the International Standard Bible Encyclopedia, it's an Old English word signifying progressively to wait, remain, lodge, sojourn, dwell, continue, and endure. Right? There's a lot in there. So wait, remain, lodge, live or take shelter, sojourn, to stay temporarily, dwell, which means to be fully present and live, to continue and endure. So these disciples had been following a man for 3 years, but they don't know it, but they're going to have to wait. Why? Because he's gone. First he's gone for 3 days, then he comes back and hangs out for 40 days or whatever it was. And then he's like, I'm coming back, and leaves again. Abide in me. Wait in me. Right? You see how it changed from, we follow him every day. This is easy. We just get up and go where he goes. Do what he says. Now he's gone. Abide in me. Wait. Remain. They had to dwell, fully present, living in him. They had to dwell in him even though he's gone. Like they went from the highest of highs, walking with God in the flesh on the earth, to he's gone. And he's going, dwell in me. Live in me. I'm gone, but nothing's changed. Your life is inside of me, even though I'm not there. Does that make sense? Continue. They never stopped. They literally lived their entire life remaining in him, dwelling in him, abiding in him to the point of their death. I'm sure they thought, dude, it's going to be like a week. How many times has the Lord spoke to you and you're like, oh yeah, a couple weeks, we're out of here. A year later, still sitting here, Lord. What's he saying? Just abide. Just continue. Just wait. Just keep going. This is what abiding is. The last one's the worst. Endure. No one likes that word. Nobody. But do you know how all the disciples ended? They had to endure, didn't they? I'm reading this book. Actually, it was Trent's book. It's called Tried by Fire. I don't recommend it unless you want to be really convicted about how big of a loser you are in Christ. Because there's a story of Peter, the Peter, right? And this is after, obviously, it's extra biblical, so if you don't like it, I don't care. But Jesus is gone, right? Nero's tearing everything up, and he's coming to Jerusalem, right? And he's going to obviously kill Peter. Peter's leaving. Peter's like, well, I'm out of here. He's fleeing because he's going to die. He has a vision of Jesus, and Jesus says, where are you going? I told you how you were going to die. So Peter just turns around and goes back, and they crucify him. That's enduring. He's abiding. He's dwelling. He's living, right? Like, we don't talk about this part. We're like, abide in the Lord. You know, you look like Crew doing this number whenever he's worshiping. There's another side that you should probably prepare yourself for in case he actually calls on you to abide. Now, do I think Nero's coming to crucify you? Probably not. Biden's out, Trump's in, we're good. There for a minute, I'm like, dude, I don't know, this might get crazy. But they're in John 13:36, Simon says to Peter, Lord, where are you going? Remember this? Jesus answered, where I'm going, you cannot come, but you will follow me afterwards. I mean, that's that. I mean, imagine being Peter and hearing those words again. Where are you going? Remember when I said you were going to follow me? Back to the cross, buddy. Like, that's intense. Like, the Lord wouldn't do that. Except he did it to all of them. You know, and we're over here complaining about, like, how much money we make or something. Or working 50 hours a week or whatever your complaint is. You know what I mean? That's the part I think where the great cloud of witnesses are like, these guys are losers. Like, how am I supposed to cheer that guy on? He's whining about like the dumbest stuff. But we talked about last week, the three, right? Noah, Daniel, and Job. These guys trusted God. They trusted him with this reckless trust. That's what abiding is. Where are you going? Oh, you're right. Dang it. I trust you. I'm going to climb on that cross. When you read the accounts in that book of the eyewitness accounts of these people's countenance as they're being crucified, each one of them, a lot of them will say like, it was almost like they were joyful. They were smiling the whole time. Like, we don't get that. We don't understand that. I don't even know how that's possible. Like, I'm like supposed to be preaching it. Don't got that one down. It's wild though. You get to this guy, David. David had a good idea of what it was to abide. I'm going to go through a bunch of Psalms, and you can turn there if you want. I'll probably just give you the chapter and then just kind of blow through them because it would take forever. But I would recommend, if you want to write them down and just go back and read them, it's pretty wild. But in Psalm 15, David writes, O Lord, who shall sojourn in your tent? Who shall dwell on your holy hill? He who walks blameless and does what is right and speaks in his heart, listen to this, speaks truth in his heart, not with his mouth. He speaks truth in his heart. Like, we're only concerned about our mouth, but inside, not so good. Who speaks right, speaks truth in his heart, who does not slander with his tongue and does no evil to his neighbor, nor takes up reproach against his friend, in whose eyes a vile person is despised, but who honors those who fear the Lord, who swears to his own hurt and does not change, who does not put out his money at interest and does not take a bribe against the innocent. He who does these things shall never be moved. So he starts with sojourning, which is a form of abiding, dwelling, which is a form of abiding, and then he gets to walking blamelessly, which we talked about and we will talk about here in a minute. Honoring and fearing the Lord, which is the reverence we talked about last week, but he says, he who does these things shall never be moved. And this, we're talking about a guy who literally gets anointed by God king and then lives 13 years in caves because he's running for his life. Yet this is abiding to him. Like this is, and unfortunately we don't look like this most of the time, but this is God preparing him for the things that he has for him. This is him preparing him for the pressure and the weight and all the glory that he wants to put on this guy, David, right? Psalm 23, and I'm gonna blow through these quick because there's just too much to take your time. Psalm 23, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me, he leads me, he restores me. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of the death, I fear no evil, for you are with me. You abide in me. I don't fear anything because you abide in me. You prepare a table for me in the presence of my enemies. So he's talking about intimacy in the midst of opposition. Surely goodness and mercy follow me, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Literally, he's talking about presence forever after talking about being in the midst of enemies, and he writes this in a cave. He's dwelling in the presence of God in a cave. So far, when I'm in a cave, I do not write about dwelling in the Lord. Psalm 25, to you, O Lord, I lift up my soul. O my God, in you I trust. None who wait on you shall be put to shame. There's the wait. Make known to me your ways. Teach me your paths. Lead me in your truth and teach me, for you are the God of my salvation. I wait all day long for you. Who is the man who fears the Lord? Him he will instruct in the way he should choose. His soul shall abide in well-being. So you want to abide in well-being. It's all about your trust in the Lord. It's all about you fearing the Lord, your reverence for the Lord. We talked about this. The friendship. That word friendship means secret counsel. The secret counsel of the Lord is for those who fear him. And again, remember, we define fear as reverence, respect, awe, right? Psalm 26, vindicate me, O Lord. I have walked in integrity, and I have trusted in the Lord without wavering. For your steadfast love is before my eyes, and I walk in your faithfulness. I walk in your faithfulness. I don't walk in my own faithfulness. See, this is where we get it mixed up. You think your faithfulness and your life is dependent on your faithfulness. I understand my life is dependent on his faithfulness. Does that make sense? This is a huge shift in how you think. Of course I want to be faithful. That's my goal. But fortunately for me, my destination is not based on my faithfulness. It's based on his. Right? Okay. O Lord, I love the habitation of your house and the place where your glory dwells. Psalm 27, the Lord is my light, my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the stronghold, the refuge of my life. One thing I've asked for, one thing I seek, that I may dwell, that I may abide, that I may wait, that I may endure in the house of the Lord all the days of my life. See, it wasn't about living in a temple. David could have just moved into the temple if he wanted to. I mean, he wore priestly garments. He did all this. He was kind of like Jesus. He did the stuff you're not supposed to do and got away with it. He was talking about abiding in his presence. You have said, seek my face. My heart says, your face do I seek. Verse 13 says, I believe that I shall look upon the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. The original actually says, oh, that I would have believed that I would look on the goodness of the Lord. There's a little, it really changes it when you look at the original, because he's like, man, if I would have known that I would see the goodness of God here, I could have saved myself a lot of grief. But we don't do that, right? I'm trying to show us what abiding actually is it's actually the ability to live in him irregardless of circumstances. You have a guy writing these famous psalms like he's not even in like the Tennessee Correctional Facility playing basketball in the AC. Like, you know, he's like in a hole. He's in a pit. In a pit, man. I probably need that other one. I got it. Thank you. But all of this is the abiding life. And hopefully we're not going to have to deal with all the negative stuff. I just want you to see that it's not always the stuff we paint it out to be, right? It's this like overriding comprehensive word, like abiding. It's not just when you initially see it, you can kind of think it's like, it just means to live in them. Everybody's like, yeah, it just means to live in them. You're like, well, what's that mean? No one's like, wait, sojourn, dwell, habitat. Like, there's so much to it. And we could literally go on forever, but I'm just going to, it's 7:40. I don't know. We'll go until I'm like, okay, I'm done. Is that all right with you guys? We'll go to that until Joe falls asleep on the other. Psalm 90 is actually written by Moses. Moses knew how to dwell. In Psalm 90, he writes, Lord, you have been our dwelling place. Literally, they're in the wilderness, right? Like he didn't exactly live in a palace, if you remember. Lord, you have been our dwelling place. Before the mountains were brought forth, or ever you had formed the earth of the world, from everlasting to everlasting, you are God. This is wild because he takes the past and puts it in God's present. You are before you ever did, right? He understands that he's always dwelled in God. He understands I came from God. He understands God's there. Like, this is wild when you think about it, because I think I made this statement before, but we assume that God is in eternity, but it's really eternity's in God, right? Like, if you go back 10 millennia, it's today for him. He's outside of time. If you go forward 10 millennia, it's today. Like, he's not subject to the time of it all. Psalm 91 is also written by Moses. He who dwells in the shelter of the Most High shall abide in the shadow of the Almighty. I will say to the Lord, my refuge and my fortress, my God in who I trust. How many of you know Moses was, if Moses is talking about dwelling, you look at his story, like, does anybody have a story like Moses? But that word dwell, when you look up the Hebrew word for dwell in this, in this Psalm 91 passage, which is an aspect of abiding, it means to marry in secret, to make your habitation, to abide. Moses is literally saying, he who marries him in secret, he who makes him his dwelling, he who makes God his habitation, he who abides, will dwell, will marry in secret, in the shadow of the Almighty, like you are in his protection. You are in his refuge. You are in his fortress. Moses would go on to write, he will deliver you. He will cover you. You will not fear. 1,000 may fall at your side. 10,000 may fall at your right hand, but it won't come near you, because you have made the Lord your dwelling place. You have made the Lord your habitation. You abide in him. Verse 14 says, because he holds fast. This is wild, because Moses is speaking, and then it goes to quotes, and it's God speaking. Verse 14, because he holds fast to me in love, I will deliver him. I will protect him, because he knows my name. When he calls to me, I will answer him. I will be with him in the trouble. I will rescue him, and I will honor him. With long life, I will satisfy him and show him my salvation. He holds on to me in love, and he honors my name. Again, think of the guys we talked about last week. Like, these guys had their full trust in him. So even if he came to judge the city, I'm not touching them because they trust me, right? I love it, because he's like, these guys trust me. This one trusts me. So I'll answer him. I'm with him. I'll honor him. I'll satisfy him, and I'll show him my salvation. Now, the salvation sometimes doesn't look like, I don't think Peter wasn't really like, dang, I really am. He wasn't joking. I'm going to die on a cross. Right? I'm sure he was like, you going to step in, right? No. Looked a little different than what he thought. But I love it because, like I said last week, he can't judge the one whose trust is in him. Once your trust is fully in him, he literally can't judge himself. And if your trust is him, if you abide in him, if you dwell in him, if you wait in him, if you sojourn in him, right? If you endure in him, you're free. Free from judgment, free from sin, free from death. This is how they could say, oh, death, where's your sting? Like, you can't touch me. I'm in him, right? Faith is abiding trust, and abiding is the path to eternal life. John 17:3, and this is eternal life, that they know you, the only true God, and Jesus Christ, whom you have sent. So walking with him is the way to knowing him, right? We've all heard the knowing in that is gnosko, right? And, there's this paradigm shift, because eternal life doesn't start when you die, it starts now. John 17:16, just a few verses later, they are not of this world, just as I am not of this world. Like, he's talking obviously to his Father. Chapter 17, he says, I do not ask for these only, this is verse 20, I do not ask for these only, but also for those who believe in me through their word. That's you, right? So he's talking to the ones around him, but he's saying, no, I'm not talking about these. I'm talking about all those who believe in him. This is you and me. I do not ask for these only, but also for those who will believe in me through their word, that they may all be one, just as you, Father, are in me and I in you, that they may also be one in us, so that the world may believe that you sent me. The fact that we are a collective literally is the proof to the world that he sent his son. The glory, listen to this, the glory you have given me, I have given them, that they may be one as we are one. I in them and you in me, that they may become perfectly one, so that the world may know that you sent me and loved them as you love me. Like, I stumbled across the verse where it says, in this world we are as he is, right? And everyone loves that. But the context is love. When you really look at it, like we're like, that means I can do this and do that. I always hear the do part of it. The context is love. Jesus came knowing he was loved by the Father. This is my son, my beloved son, in whom I'm well pleased, right? Having done nothing. Then at the end, this is my beloved son, in whom I'm well pleased. Listen to him. Jesus knows he's beloved, therefore he doesn't have to fear what's happening. Now, as a man, I'm sure it was rough, right? But he knows that the God who hung the stars loves him. The context of as he is, so are we. When you read that whole chapter, he's talking about you're loved, just like him. It's not about the power we walk in. It's not about like the attributes and all those things. We know we're loved. We can't be touched. He's not judging me. He loves me, right? It's wild. I invite you to go look it up. I would have put some notes in here. I just remembered that. But in that John 17, just as one, you and me, I and them, perfectly one. Like this is how you can walk as he walked. This is why abiding's so important. Abiding's important because if you are one with him, then you are going to have to understand that you are walking with him. Therefore, you are walking as he walked. And therefore, you will monitor yourself differently, right? You'll consider your actions if you understand that you are supposed to be the representation of him in the earth. And what's wild is, I referenced there the whole as he is, so are we. And maybe it's just me, but my mind always used to go to the power and miracle side, which is encouraging, right? I actually believe that. I really do. But you know that you can operate in giftings and power and miracles and not be one with him, right? You understand the gifts and calls are irrevocable. You understand that we've had people do crazy miracles and then find out privately, whoa, not good. Right? This is a fact. And it's actually biblical. Did we not prophesy in your name? Did we not do mighty miracles? What's his response? I never knew you. Never had gnosko, bro. Sorry, you're out. That's wild. And again, I am 1,000% for the miracles. This is me trying to cover my tracks because people are like, dude, he doesn't believe in power. He just wants to abide, no power. Not true at all. Like this, 100% miracle. The kid sitting in the back, 100% miracle. You can't convince me of anything else. But the abiding is not unto the power. The abiding is unto knowing and to be known, right? 1 Corinthians 13, for now we see in a mirror dimly, but then face to face. Now I know in part, then I shall know fully, even as I have been fully known. The goal is to know him as much as he knows me, because the more I learn about him, the more I learn about me, right? The closer you get to him, the more you're like, whoa, that's some stuff I should probably work on. That's not good. This is why abiding is life. Obviously, if you walk side by side with someone for 10 years, you're going to know them pretty good. If you spent every waking moment with someone, if you slept next to them every day, worked with them every day, ate with them every day, you know them well. But if you only visit them a couple hours on the weekend or Saturday night, or maybe 30 minutes if you got time, probably don't know them that well. Just a fact. Aaron, you want to come up here and make some noise? So the effect of abiding is transfiguration. You are being transfigured into his image. Doesn't say you were transfigured. You are being. It's a process. I love Jeremiah 6:16. Talks about standing by the road and looking for the ancient path. Look for the ancient path. It does not say the ancient destination. We're so destination focused. Even when we're like abiding, you're like, okay, abiding here, where are we going? Are we there yet? How long till I get there? Like I understand callings and I understand roles. We talked about like he has work for you to do in the earth, and a lot of times we refer that to calling, right? And that's okay, that's good. I do that too. But I'm not confused about my destiny or my calling. I'm called to him, period. We might do a lot of stuff on the way that falls under calling, right? But I know that if I'm in him, then I'm in my destiny right now. Was David in his destiny when he was in the cave writing those Psalms? Oh yeah, destiny. Joseph in a pit, destiny. If you are in him, you're in your destiny right now. Might look different tomorrow. Hopefully it's a mountaintop at some point. I'm right there. I pray for all that stuff. I don't make it sound like I don't want any of that stuff because that'd be a lie. But my calling isn't like this thing, preaching. My calling's not you guys. Those might be things that I do along the way. I'm called to him, period. Like I'm called to him before I'm called to her. And vice versa. Like we tried it the other way. No bueno. It's not good. Just take my word on that one. But every one of you are ultimately called to walk with him. Now, there may be in that walking with him some future that you've been dreaming of, and I hope it is. But you'll need to understand that you'll have to abide in him, walk with him, and remain with him in order to get there. And the beauty of it is, we're talking a lot about abiding in him, but I read to you, he abides in you. So when you feel like you're not doing good at being in him, don't worry, he's in you. You can't get away. Like we can get down on ourselves and be like, yeah, but I'm not doing a good job. That's good. He is. I don't think Joseph was like thinking he was crushing it when he was in prison. You know? The thing I love about David is you can read a psalm and it'll sound like he's on a mountaintop, but he's really in a cave. And then like the next page over, he's like, I hate everyone. I wish they would all die. You know what I mean? Like you can find solace with David. You're like, wow, dude, he's really in a good mood here. And you're like, dang, this guy's in the dumps. But again, we're not as worried about our own faithfulness. We're not as concerned with our own faithfulness because he's faithful. Like he is faithful and just to complete the good work that he started. He's the author and finisher of your faith. That's weird. Psalm 101:6 says, I will look with favor on the faithful in the land, that they may dwell with me. He who walks in the way that is blameless shall minister to me. So your trust and your faithfulness leads to favor and dwelling and abiding and remaining. And he says, by walking this way, it makes you blameless. That's what he said about those three last week. Like Job, the book starts out, he's blameless. You're like, how's that possible? He can't be blameless. That's what it says about Daniel. Daniel is blameless. The blameless shall minister to him. So our goal here is not to be heralds as much as it is models, right? I love the saying, preach every day, and if you have to, use words, right? But it'll also be going from a life of obedience to a life of sonship. Like, I don't wake up hoping to obey all day. I just wake up and be a son. And this is the transition in thinking when he spoke to me once and he said, stop trying to live for me. Start living from me. Like, that was a total shift in my thinking. Because if you're worried about living for him, now there's this bar you got to meet. And guess what? You ain't going to meet your own bar. You know? But when you're like, wait, I'm living from you? It'll change everything. It'll change your life. That's the transition to abiding. Live from me. Are you remaining in me? Are you abiding in me? Are you dwelling? Are you sojourning? Are you all the things that we read? Yeah? All right, you're cool. I'll let you know when you screw up. Don't worry. So, if, the beauty of all this is if you've never really thought about it like that, if that's news to you, or maybe I said something that made you think and you're like, dang, I kind of missed the boat on that one. The beauty is all you got to do is repent. It's like nothing else. You just change your mind. Just like I just said, when he's like, hey, stop trying to live for me. You're like, oh, crap, I screwed up. He's like, no, just change the way you think. Then once you do, you're like, oh, this is way better. Like, nobody changed the way they think and then it's like, I kind of liked it the old way better, right? When you change the way you think and you actually see how much easier it is, it doesn't get harder, it gets easier. So I'm not relying on me. I'm not trying to, like, ace it. I'm not trying to do whatever usually people around you are telling you to do. Now, clearly there's a standard that we know, like in the scriptures, right? It's not, you don't get to go off half-cocked, do whatever you want. But the beauty is when you start living like that, all the voices, you couldn't give two rips what they say. Well, you should. I don't really care about that. And it's not you being flippant. It's like, I live from him. I don't live from your ideas. I just don't. And it's freeing. Aren't you worried about? Nope. Well, what if? What if it don't? Even if it does, right? This is the trust factor. This is the abiding life. It's the beauty of it all. So maybe you just play something. We'll give everyone a few minutes to just kind of, I would recommend just taking a moment, asking. It's always good to ask because, you can be sure that you've aced it. And he's like, no, I got a couple things we could work on together. So maybe she'll play, give you guys some time. If we're always up here, if you ever feel the need for someone to pray with you or whatever it is that you need, even if it doesn't have anything to do with necessarily what we're talking about. If you just want someone to stand with you and believe with you for something, we're always up here. So we're always open at the end for prayer. But yeah, we'll let her play. We'll take a couple minutes, pray, and then we'll wrap it up. So.
You have been, and you will be. You have seen.